Hello, welcome to Chess Comedy Books 6. This is an ongoing series in which we look at various serious-minded chess books from a light-hearted perspective, or at least we try to. Today I'm going to look at a number of coffee table books, the sort of thing that you might leave lying around for somebody other than yourself to look at, and when they do look at it, you can interrupt them by saying, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" And if they do get a cup of coffee, you say, "Can I just take that book from you, because I wouldn't like you to get coffee on it." So hence the expression coffee table book. The first coffee table book, and I'll put the details downstairs at the bottom. The first book I'd like to show you is this, which came out about 7 or 8 months ago, I think. It is a very large, heavy and expensive book. It was no doubt expensive for the publishers to put together. It is by Rabenstein, Peter Harold Rabenstein, and it is part of the Chess in Art series, edited by Pavel Herel. It is a labor of love. It has over 300 pages, and it has many oil paintings in it. And I'm going to show you a small number of these. Some of these are not really linked any too strongly with the game we play today, but for all of that, I'd like you to see them. So there's one, and there's another, a couple of guys in a tent playing with a board. This is Alfonso X of Castile. In other words, land of castles, in not castles queenside, castles, and not rooks, which is, I think I'm wrong in saying, in Spain. Here are a couple of ladies. Here they are, see? And one of them is putting the little 2 fingers up like this. So I can't do it, which is not the Star Trek salute, but the Pantocrator. This is from 1334, so getting on for 700 years ago. And there is unmistakably a chess set which has been wheeled in to separate the 2 characters. I was going to say the 2 ladies, but I'm not sure that I'm confident it is 2 ladies, but it might be. Here's another painting. See that? See that? See that? This is rather more involved, rather like a book of hours. This is Dutch Delft, it says. Associate Delft with China, but that's as may be. Probably the king and the queen playing a game seemingly without pieces, but possibly it's a blindfold game, haha. There's a tree growing out of the, you see, a tree growing out the back, possibly indicating fertility. And underneath it, 4, it could be courtiers or princes, and one is a princess. And they seem to be playing with spiders. Why this should be, I don't know, but it must be a bit annoying for them. They've all got crowns on, and none the wiser. I'm none the wiser. Here is another Dutch one, I think. If it isn't Dutch pure, it is from the Flemish school. And it looks like a lot of people have been harvesting. This is by Bruegel, an artist I know a little about, I think. I think there was a senior and a junior Bruegel. And they seem to be fighting over either a curtain or some sort of sheet. And amongst the detritus here, there is a lamp. And below it, there is unmistakably a chessboard. And it gives Bruegel's dates, 1530 to 1569. Right, so he died at the age of 39. Rather too young to go, isn't it? Here we're coming more up to date with, and here we're bursting into the 17th century. I think really chess is incidental. They're not showing pictures of two people engaged in an important chess contest. They're showing people who, amongst their attributes, in their opinion at least, is the ability to play chess. So you might put a globe on the table to show that you have lands in many places. You might put a dove there for peace. You might put a dog there for fidelity. You might put a cat there for some sort of mystical action or even insight. This is more what I was talking about. Here we have, is it a mandolin there? And some flowers, which are starting to wilt, meaning perhaps we ourselves are only mortal. And some playing cards with a jack on the top. I think they might have called it a knave. This is by Bugin, Lubin Bugin. Please forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. But you get a flavour of it. Here we have more, and yet more. And here we have a royal scene where chess, you're clearly not capable of reproducing a proper chessboard. It's a very small one. So, in other words, I think it was just put in for incidental, like incidental music, background, something like that. The whole book is like this. It's very expensive indeed. It was sent to me for review about 6 months ago, and it was on the market for over £100. I don't suppose there's anybody listening to this who is in a position to spend £100 or more on a chess book. If they are, and good luck to them, but if they are, I don't think this is the book they should be investing in, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Here we have two clerics playing chess. One appears to be wreathed not just in smiles, but about to cavort with laughter, or even fall about on the floor with laughter. I don't know whether that's true. I'm going to close this up now and go on to the next one. This is something completely different. This is History of Chess, edited by B.H. Wood. Now, you would think that if this is called History of Chess, that inside would be, yes, you guessed it, a history of chess, but it isn't that. What this is the history of chess in illustration. In other words, you can see a link between this and that which I've just shown you. This went on the market for about 45 years ago for not very much money. I think it was almost remainders as soon as it appeared. The pages then as now were yellowing. Here's a picture of a couple of guys having a game. I'm sure all your opponents have veils like that and false eyelashes and wear large pink dresses. And the young man whom she's playing appears to be the worse for wear. Lancelot and his queen at chess. Living Stones, that's the name of the particular work it's from. Here we have something again completely different. Two knights, a photograph, one in chainmail, the other on a horse, and the horse there is of course the knight, and they're enacting, possibly with local school children, a game of chess by playing it out on a board, and people can look in with mock interest and say, oh, this is rather novel, isn't it? I don't remember this last year. Well, I don't remember it last year either, missus, but there we go. Here we have Louis XI at chess in the Chateau Plessis des Tours, a French miniature of the end of the 15th century. I think they mean drawn up at the end of the 15th century. There it is. That could go on the book cover, couldn't it? Quite pleasingly. And it fills the page and the board, which is out of perspective, but that's forgivable, is being looked at by the two contestants and four who are in the foreground, in the background, sorry, looking on with subdued reverence, bordering on boredom. Now, here is a very bad photograph, at least for our benefit, our purposes. There, the elderly man with a white beard and wearing a white top, there we are, is no less a person than our old mate, Leo Tolstoy. And this was taken at Tolstoy's home in 1908, the year of the death in Russia, and they would have known about this, of Chigorin, who died young. Here's a photograph of a young lady, about 60 odd years ago, Brenda Lee. Now, why Brenda Lee wishes to associate herself with using too much hairspray, I don't know, but underneath, as you can see, there is a chess set in the same way as you might have a dog or something. It's just there for appearance's sake. I don't really think that she was a noted player. Could be embarrassingly wrong. And Brenda, if you're listening, ring in and tell me I'm wrong. I'll take it on the chin. Here's a little cartoon. I shared a cartoon yesterday, so here's another one to go with it. An enormous man with a little pipe playing a little man who appears to be completely vanquished. He might even be losing as well. He might even be losing. Here are two scenes from the Polish animated film, The Tournament, from 1959. Things like this are probably quite an interesting exercise for any artist. You can see the rook, you can see the little knight rearing up, and you can see the various courtiers' chess pieces. And you can also see, at least I hope you can see, one of the black men has actually fallen down, so he looks like he's dead. Shamat, the king is dead. Where we get our expression, the phrase, checkmate. I'll just find you one more, if I can. They're showing various chess pieces. Oh, here's something closer to my heart. These are ex libris plates. People were in the habit, possibly still are in certain quarters, of sticking labels in their books and then writing. This is from the library of whatever it is. I don't subscribe to it myself, but it may be a good way of hanging on to your books, particularly if you've got visitors and the habit of walking off with them. So that was A History of Chess, a Polish publication. The next book I want to look at is this, which is very much different. This is about 25 years old. Let's find out. Probably lying through my teeth. It was £25 new. It would be a lot more than £25 now. I can't pronounce the names of the authors. Finke Elzel, Ling, Fitzier, and Brewer. The subtitle is, and that I can pronounce, A Celebration of 2,000 Years of Chess. And it's published by Mackenzie. And it was published in 1990, so 30 years ago. This is rather a nice book. The text isn't that accurate when it comes to talking about the game, but in a way, you don't look at it as a history. You look at it as an entertainment to put. Where did I say you'd put it? I'll tell you where I said you'd put it. On your coffee table. In fact, since I'm doing 3 books, you won't have even room for any coffee tables. Sorry, any coffee. or even any tables. Here we have chess in India. The game of chess is a lake in which a mosquito can bathe and an elephant can drown. Well, I've seen that aphorism quoted many times and in many forms. And here we have a bearded elder, complete with halo. Very few grandmasters these days have halos. There we are. And he's obviously giving them some sort of instruction. One of them's got a chessboard. One of them has got a gaming board. I don't quite know what it is. And the other's got something to do with cards, I think. So they are all of them. It's from a miniature from 1283 and deals with the origin of chess. 3 Indian seers bring a chess game and a dice game to the Persian king. Is portrayed here as a Christian ruler. And we know he's a Christian ruler because he's got a halo. And he's sitting on a throne. And he looks a bit perplexed. Well, chess is like that. It does make you perplexed. Well, here are some ivory chessmen. And here are some photographs of more up-to-date players. And here is quite an interesting ensemble. Very green. There, look at that. I'll move it a bit nearer. There it is. Isn't that nice? Wouldn't mind that on my wall. A chess game can be won when the balance is lost. In a position with perfect balance, even the greatest genius is helpless. The position offers no inspiration. And that's a quotation from the very first, I haven't talked about him yet, world chess champion Wilhelm Steinitz. And this is a very much earlier tableau in coloured pen and ink. Somebody's overwhelmed by their love of chess. The lady behind the pieces. It's taken from, in other words, it's probably based on a book written in 1467, so a very long time ago, even before Tudors and Stuarts, which is very nice. And now we are, here is a very interesting photograph, a world away from what we were doing, but I'll show you it. This is a team event. You couldn't have that nowadays, could you? With COVID around. This is a world team championship, also called an Olympiad, which is held every 2 years. Teams of 6, but now it's gone down to 5 again. I'm saying again because it was in ancient times 5. Here's some very ornate chess pieces. Don't really care for these sorts of things, but somebody somewhere must like them. So there we are. But if you dig one of those up in your back garden, I urge you to give it to your local art gallery, your local museum, and not to me. Don't send it to the Chess Parrot. I don't want it. Here's some other rather smaller chess pieces. If you dug these up out the ground, and they're several hundred years old, all you would have to say is, well, they're a bit mucky. But now they've been restored, as I assume they have. Oh, some of these are quite recent. 1752, well, that's not recent, but 19th and 20th century. One of them was Portuguese, one French, one German. So it's an interesting ensemble. Here we see a chessboard, or anyway, the squares of a chessboard, but it looks to me as if they're accommodating something else, and the author's got a bit carried away and stuffed them in. Chess and theatre. A wood and ceramic German board. One side is a chessboard, I suppose it is, but it isn't checkered. The ceramic chess squares are decorated with painted hearts, bells, plant motifs, and stylized figurines, as well as the lucky numbers and figures from the tarot cards. So there's an element of luck about it. And it's from the 17th century. It looks to me like it would be the equivalent of a sort of today. You can still get them and they're good fun, particularly for kids. A compendium of games, that's what I had in mind. A good way to start people off rather than the intensity of one thing. Here we have some ivory pieces. These are, it says it's ebony. Oh, what's wrong with some ivory? Rare, that looks very nice in bold relief, doesn't it? Once again, I think as soon as I started the game, I wish I wasn't using that sort of chess piece. I can have a little drink now. I think I'd find them rather too distracting, but each to their own. These are probably rather more for decoration than for competition. Here we had some clerics earlier, and here are some more monks. I should think they're probably in their rest period, and chess is probably one of the few things they were in that era, I don't know, allowed to do, apart from perhaps read the Bible or go outside and fiddle about in the garden. Nature gave us the chessboard, which we neither can nor will get out of. Nature carved the pieces whose value, movement, and ability gradually became familiar. Then it's up to us to make moves, that's true, from which we expect success. Each person tries this in his own way and doesn't like others to interfere. And this is a quote from Goethe. And I do not have any German to explain the name of the work, presumably dramatic, that it comes from. Now for 1 mark, who is this standing still for the moment, looking at one of the many boards he is playing simultaneously? He's a very, very famous, sadly no longer with us, grandmaster. Who is he? I'll give you a clue. He was born in Russia. That's the only clue you're getting. These are pictures of famous grandmasters. And here is a picture of a chess playing contraption, and that's the right word for it. And probably at some future date, not immediately, I'll go into a bit more detail about the various chess playing machines, that some of them hoaxes, others entertainments, some of them a bit of both, which sometimes had a little man inside and sometimes didn't, and sometimes was done by some secret movements, and others again just there for entertainment or just for the look of it. Here's one of the earliest photographs ever taken by Fox Talbot. There it is. A man in a top hat, very shiny, playing a man who looks a bit more elderly, might not be. And they are pretty intent, aren't they, on their game? I should think that's being played maybe after dinner. It's from 1840, 2 chess players, left to posterity, one of the first produced in England. Talbot was one of the pioneers of photographic art, and here he has brilliantly captured the tension that prevails during a chess game. Not so sure. I never played any of my games. I got very tense, but I didn't wear a top hat. But, that's just my loss, isn't it? And I did lose a lot. Here is something completely different. We see people intent on chess play, but this is very symbolic. Nothing is attempted to do it to scale, and the players look not just deep in concentration, but furrowed with worry. Down at the corner, there's a little cartoon for a lady and gentleman on their wedding night, and he is taken to bed a chess set, bouncing about with the board. So a bit of a laugh. It's by Fred Marcus. and you were invited to add your own caption, which you just watch yourself. Don't go doing anything like making a silly joke. Here we have some of the varieties, the regional variations of chess. People playing in the Orient, people playing shogi, a game which has taken off a little bit in the West. There it is, you see it. They don't have a checkered board, but they do have squares, and they do have chess pieces, but some of them got different names like lances, or I think Basman said something about helicopters. Not sure about helicopters. And here we are in Reggio Emilia, if I can pronounce that correctly. I had a friend actually that lived there, and they have a square, and each year they play live chess outside. And here we have a lot of Arabs sitting around waiting for Florenzio Campomanes, who was at one time the president of the World Chess Federation. And here we have some games being acted out. And that, as they say, is that. The last book I'm going to look at is also very interesting. It's an American publication. It came out about 40 years ago. I remember going into the shop with great trepidation and just a little pocket money. This was printed in 1974 by the Ridge Press. And it is unashamedly done to celebrate and cash in on. They have to do that, of course they do. The success, the worldwide success of Bobby Fischer. And there's all sorts of photographic tricks and reproductions, as you've seen in the other three books, of there's the chess playing machine again, slightly larger than last time. You can see all the cogs and wheels at the base, which you probably show the audience to show there's no one hiding in it. And then he either comes up through the floor or is hiding behind the cogs or something. And suddenly, oh my goodness, the machine can play excellent moves, and excellent moves it needed because it did tour around a lot and played against some pretty good players, as well as being a pretty good player itself. Now here we have a name that's beloved to me, Marcel Duchamp, who was French. He's dead now, but he was a French artist, a surrealist, and one of the founders of the Dada school of thought, which I enjoy very much. And here he is, relaxing with a chessboard that's been wrongly set up, so he's probably blaming his cleaning lady or something like that. He's sampling a cigar. Here again, as we saw earlier, somebody playing a lot of people. This is Edmar Mednis. He's dead now. He was an expert. He was a chess grandmaster, not the strongest of grandmasters, but he was a grandmaster in America and an expert on endgames. Here we have, it looks like something like by Man Ray or Gilray or some such. Here we have, I can't find where it says it. I'm sure it does say it. The onlookers hardly being able to contain themselves. They could be the seconds for the players. And they're sort of saying, my God, sir, what have you let yourself in for? And one of them is examining it with relish, and the other is possibly shooing away any possibility that reality may break through. And a couple of candles, scuttering candles, are at the side. And there's a dog asleep, which is probably the chess is enough to send anyone off to sleep, you think. But as I said, a dog can often mean fidelity in a portrait. There we are. Some famous 19th century players here, all of which I'll probably come on to discuss at some future point. We can get those in. There we are. There's Steinitz. And there is Zukertort, whom I mentioned. What else have we got here? Yes, Zukertort, Chigorin, Steinitz, and Tarrasch. Tarrasch was German. Here's a cartoon of many players. Rather good, actually, of the sort that used to appear in things like the Daily Express. This is not a common betting man, but it's a distinguished foreign visitor taking notes. I love that. Well, speaking as someone who isn't a common betting man, you don't have to take notes as I speak to you now. I just hope you enjoy. Here's some chess pieces, all very ornate, gilded. Almost looks like subterranean, doesn't it? Looks like the sea's coming in. Chess can combine with many things. It's not quite the dull game people think. Here we have a game being demonstrated in Moscow. It could only be Moscow. There we are. See the long pole and the wooden pieces. They probably have it on a computer screen now, wouldn't they? But as you can see, even the people that couldn't get into the theatre to see the games, let alone those who were playing the games, there's still interest outside. Yesterday I asked you who the gentleman with brown hair who was on the cover of the magazine next to Antoinetta Stefano was, and the answer was Boris Spassky. Well, there's another picture. You won't miss him next time, will you? Of Boris Spassky there with his laurels, presumably when he won the world title. The last chapter is about Bobby Fischer. And here he is, playing Tigran Petrosian on the wonderful stage. That's particularly clear. Petrosian started off all right and even won a game. But it was only one game. Here's Bobby collecting his medal, and I think that's a jolly good moment to stop. There he is with Max Erver, who was also a world champion, a lot earlier than Bobby. I know that Erver made a speech. He was very linguistically gifted. He spoke several languages. And Bobby sort of took it and said, it's a bit small, isn't it? And that was about as good as he got, and about as polite as he wanted to be and remembered. Thank you very much. Until we meet again, goodbye.